welcome back to Of Stone and Clay. This is a special episode. This is episode 75. We're a quarter away from 100, right?
Correct.
We've got Rachel Winters back here with us. You were on episode 37 as Rachel Duncan.
That's so cool.
Yeah, and you've made it a lifestyle change, and you married the man that you were going to marry.
I did.
And now we're here as friends.
Yeah, last time I was on as the not even fiance, the girlfriend
you were the
of
girlfriend.
your best friend.
Right.
And now I'm on as not only the wife of your best friend, but also as one of your best friends.
Yes.
Like, that's really cool.
Yeah. No, it's honestly awesome. I've wanted, even when we did our episode, I was like, I want to get Rach back because we didn't go as deep as I wanted to because we didn't have a ton of time. But yeah, thank you so much for coming. My first question is, I know a couple months ago, we did an episode with your husband. And I know we talked about this a lot, but I wanted to hear a little bit about your reaction to, seeing your husband on the podcast. He was talking a lot about your guys' relationship, your guys' love, your guys' story. What was your immediate reaction? Did you sit down and watch the whole episode together?
Yes. Yeah, we did. Gosh, I just cried my eyes out. Thank you. My voice wrecked me on that one, but in the best way possible. It hit me really deeply. Like, I was very emotional about it and still am. That just is such a treasure that you gave us. And I will treasure that, what you two created, forever. Hearing the person that you love the most talk about you that way when you're not there is something that I want everyone to experience in their lifetime, because that really impacted me. And not just him, but like you, who I care about so much, and hearing the things that you were saying and you two together, it was, gosh, I didn't deserve half of the things that you said, but
we'll be the judges of what you deserve.
You're so nice. But yeah, I was deeply impacted by that and very emotional, and still am when I think about it. And I could listen to him tell our story over and over again, just forever.
There's something special about when, like you said, somebody is talking about you, but you're not there. Yeah. And so it's, I don't know, it just feels extra genuine, you know?
Yeah, because he's not saying it because, he's trying to have like a moment with me or wanting me to feel good.
He's just telling his truth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just from the heart to just to his buddy. And that was so special to be able to see. And I want to thank you for that, because you're the one that made that possible. And like I said, it is something that we'll treasure forever. And I think that's so cool about your podcast is, like, people are coming on, they're sharing their feelings and their stories, and it just creates this space, to open up and get deep. And that's something that we'll literally treasure for our whole lives. Like, I will show my children that video and I will say, like, this is what you need to wait for.
Yeah.
Like, wait for the guy that will talk about you this way.
Yeah.
And to have that, like, on film, like, documented is so
if
amazing.
I had my young parents, like a video of them talking like that would mean so much to me.
Yeah.
So it's so cool. I love, for me, it's like this time capsule.
Yes.
And I'm like, I feel like you're probably the same way, and maybe this kind of coincides with being kind of a creative person, but I am just obsessed with like memories and
oh my gosh,
documenting my life, and like, that's one thing I love about you is anytime we're doing anything, you're like, we should take a picture. And I love that because it helps you remember these little moments that, like, sometimes when you have so many memories together, they kind of fade, they kind of blend together.
Yeah.
Right. But like, we took a bunch of pictures that night. We were talking at the gas station for 5 hours.
Yes.
And it's cool. I'll go through my phone and I'll be like, oh, that
will pop up.
Such an awesome night.
Oh, I completely agree.
And because it's weird, the memories, the small memories that kind of stick with you, and some of them just seem kind of random, but yeah, so many just kind of fall through the cracks if you don't have a little remembrance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
A lot of our best moments are made at a gas station.
There's something special about a gas station.
We have a good time at a gas
Your
station.
husband is a menace in a gas station.
Yeah, he is. He will get the worst snacks known to man, and he'll take one bite of them and then chuck the rest just because he wants to try it. Yeah. But I respect him for it.
Yeah, it's true.
I was going to say that my favorite thing in the world is going through old pictures that my parents have. Like, I spend full Saturdays sometimes. Like, I'll just go down to my parents' house and bring out the big box that all of our, like, go through the photo albums. Yeah. And I just am obsessed with, like, looking at all of those memories. And I want to do the same for, like,
well, it's so cool because
future kids.
Yeah, that box probably has maybe 1,000 pictures, I would guess. Yeah. Maybe 500. I don't know.
Yeah.
But how many pictures do you have on your phone?
Oh my gosh.
Like 20,000 or something?
I literally think I do.
Yeah, let's see.
Wait, I'm going to check. This actually might be kind of crazy. 32,000.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so cool. You know? Like, I always think about that. This is kind of a morbid thought, but I think about that sometimes, like, when people die, like young, I'm like, I wonder, like, what's on their phone that their family can see. You know, because that's like the main thing you leave behind, that like your record of everything. Yeah. Your texts, and I don't know if I want my family to read all my texts, but they're there.
All the notes in your phone, your late night notes.
All the weird cryptic notes. Okay, Rach, tell me your side of when you met Connor. What was your first initial reaction, and when was the first time you were like, we got a problem? Like, this might be it. Like, when did you feel an obvious, like, I'm starting to fall? Yeah.
Oh, I love talking about him. So glad that I can talk about him right now. I honestly knew that he was special from, like, the first date. Yeah. Like, I truly did. Just like how he talked to me and how sweetly he would look at me. I felt something special, like, from the first date. Yeah. And then a couple dates into it, we went to the Lantern Festival, which I had been to many times before with other boys. Yeah. And I always remember feeling a little, like, not insecure, but, like, going to the Lantern Festival with the other boys that I did. I always was aware of all the other cute girls that were there, and everyone was dressed up, like, just super cute. I just was aware of it.
Yeah, because everyone loves to take pictures.
Yes, yes. It's just kind of a Utah thing. Yeah. And when I went with Connor, I had no feelings like that. Like, it was just me and him, and he made me feel like I was the only girl there. Yeah. And I left that date being like, oh, this is how I can feel in a relationship. Yeah. And then even a couple dates after that, he came to visit me in Logan, and he was supposed to spend the night on my couch. Spencer was there. Yeah. And we did, like, a group date, and we had such a fun night. They were supposed to spend the night on the couch, and then ended up leaving to just go home because it was late and they were tired and wanted to sleep in their own beds. Yeah. But when he left that night, I remember going back up to my room, and I just started to cry. And this was, like, maybe 8 dates in. Oh, wow. But I just felt like I felt him missing. I loved so much being with him. And then when he wasn't there, I felt that missing piece in my heart. And I broke down and I cried, and I felt like I really missed him for the first time. Yeah. And that was, I think, the biggest moment where I was like,
oh, I must be feeling something.
I must be,
I'm
like,
losing my mind.
Kind of falling in love already. Yeah. Because I miss him so much, and I want him here, and I want him to be around constantly. And then my roommates would ask me, like, okay, so how are things going with Con? Yeah. And I remember telling them, I can't picture this ending.
Mm.
Like, I don't know what's going to happen, but I truly can't picture it ending.
Yeah.
And that's how that's like how I would describe our relationship in the beginning stages. And then it just grew from that. And we just fell in love. And I just keep falling in love with him. I love him so much.
You know when I knew you guys were going to make it?
Oh, I would love to know. Please tell me.
So I met you guys, I think it was like your second or third date, the Halloween thing, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So I met you and I was immediately like, well, she's it. Like, let's see, like, if she likes him back, but like, she's it.
That's so cute.
But then when we went to Vegas together.
Oh, yeah.
So we went to Vegas, just us four, me, Spencer, you, and Connor. And there's something that you and Connor are both great at, is you're both extremely, even though you're both very social and sometimes all over the place, when you guys are dialed in, you're both insanely present. And I could see how present you guys were with each other. And just, you're talking and you're just like fixated on each other. And Connor's talking and I can see you just kind of looking at him like,
just obsessing.
Oh, what a perfect human. look at him pumping gas. And that's when you can tell when someone's fallen, when it's like everything they do is perfect, it seems like, but yeah. And then that's when we first, like, I felt like we became friends, and you wrote me a Valentine's Day card.
I did, because we were coming home on Valentine's Day.
Yeah. And
so we spent that day all together.
Yeah. And you wrote me this sweet card, and you wrote one to Spencer too. And I was like, hold on. I was like, who of my buddies' friends that are just in the beginning stages of dating would ever go to such effort to think about me and include me? And I was like, well, yeah, this is a special person. This is a different breed of human. So that was really cool for me. And yeah, I felt like we all bonded together.
Yeah.
And we got home and we're like, Con.
You did.
Yeah, we're like, Con, Rach is it. And he was like, yeah, bro, I think so. And it's hard in those early stages because you're so excited, but you don't want to, like, in case it ends, you don't want to get too excited, but you kind of can't help it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I know he was that way.
Yeah.
I was not, because I just kind of knew.
Yeah.
It was like, I'm getting hyped because we're getting married.
Yeah.
But I know that because he has had his fair share of, like, dating struggles. Yeah. That he definitely, his heart was more guarded. Yeah. And yeah, seeing that kind of that wall be broken down was something really cool to experience together. But I remember that trip too, and it's one of my fondest memories of ours. Yeah. And I connected with you guys really quickly because of how much I knew Connor loved you guys. Yeah. Like, he talked to me so much about you that on that trip I just felt that love too. And so it wasn't hard to, like, write a sincere Valentine to you saying how amazing of a person I thought you were, even though we hadn't known each other very long, because I felt like I already knew you and loved you so much. Yeah. So yeah, I think that trip was really special. But that's cool to kind of hear from your perspective. Yeah. Of seeing how we fell in love. Yeah.
Let me know if you remember this, but I don't even remember. I think you guys were already married. I can't remember.
Okay.
But me, you, and Connor went out to dinner or something one night, or we did something, and then we went our separate ways. But for some reason, you guys left first, and you left me a little note on my windshield. Do you remember that?
Oh, I do.
You left me this little note.
We were playing spike ball.
Yeah, something. Yeah. And yeah, you just left a little note saying, like, oh, me and Connor love you so much, and we're always thinking about you, and just this little tiny, cute little special note. And I never forgot it, because those little things just mean so much to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, tell me about how you've been married, what, 3 years now?
Yeah, 2.5.
Okay. What's like an unexpected joy of marriage that you maybe didn't think about before? Or like you said, your love keeps growing and growing. What has been kind of an indicator of that? Like, wow, like I thought we were in love before, but like, yeah.
Well, one thing, just as we're talking about like how infatuated we were with each other, like on that trip, and you'd catch me just staring at him
Yeah.
and being obsessed with him. I still feel that way. Like will watch him. Last night he was me crying about this is silly, but he was standing by the window, just like looking out the window. And I just had a moment where I was laying in bed, just watching him look out the window. And my heart could burst, like just watching him. And just in all these small little moments that I get to catch throughout the day where I just feel so in love and so grateful for him, those don't stop.
Yeah.
And that's how I know he's like my person.
Yeah.
Is that didn't end after the excitement of the dating stage. Those just like keep coming, and if not even more.
Yeah.
So
yeah. What are you thinking when he's just gazing out the window and you're getting choked up? What was it about that moment?
Gosh, I think just how like special he is and how beautiful he is, and him gazing out the window, like I don't know what the heck he was thinking about, but he was just being.
Yeah.
And me just getting to witness him just being when he doesn't think there's eyes on him, or, he's just doing something mundane.
Yeah.
Is just such a cool thing to experience. And yeah, it's just appreciation, I think, for someone just being.
Yeah, and he's so authentically himself, like unlike like few people on this earth.
Yes.
Yeah,
seriously.
And so yeah, it's cool because anytime you're observing him, he's just doing his own thing, and he's doing it not to impress anyone.
Yeah.
He's just living his life. He's just being. Totally, it's such a good way to describe it. I love the other day we go to the movies and Connor had like pulled his calf muscle, and so he has a cane. And the funny thing about Connor is Connor has actually looks really good in good clothes.
Yeah.
But does not care about wearing horrible clothes.
Yeah, he doesn't.
And it's just because he likes the feel of old clothes, right? So he's in this cane, he's wearing horrible clothes, and me and Spencer just kind of looking at him hobbling around with his cane. Just looks kind of like a crazy lost person.
Was his hair down?
Yeah, his hair's disheveled.
Just looking mangy.
And then we look over at you and you're just like, oh.
I can't help it. Yeah, my heart is just like aching for him, like in the best way.
Yeah. But that's the beautiful thing about when you really let someone in and really like know every nook and cranny of someone's heart.
Yeah.
Then just the love builds. And it's almost like it's going to be 10 times more powerful in 10 years. Yeah. Because you're going to raise kids together. You're going to see each other in so many different lights.
No, I feel that. And that just reminds me of something that I love. Talking about kind of the love within a marriage. And I think it sums up really well one of the joys that I feel in our marriage that maybe I wasn't expecting. But it says, to be loved but not known is comforting but superficial. To be known and not loved is our greatest fear. But to be fully known and truly loved, well, that's a lot like being loved by God.
Yeah.
And I feel that obviously so deeply with my relationship with God. Like he knows me fully and he loves me so purely. But that's the beauty of love in a marriage as well, because Connor knows me the best out of anyone except God. And he loves me so purely. And that's something that I don't think I was expecting. Just as you're dating around, I don't know. I think that people, as you're opening up to people, you think that you need to maybe hide parts of yourself to be loved. And within marriage, all of that is just broken down, and it's your true self and your full self just being loved so completely and so purely. Like that's a really beautiful and joyful aspect.
I think the struggle when you're single is you kind of look back on what's the best I've ever had, and if it's only this high, you don't expect anything better, right? So it's like you said when you first started hanging with Con, you're like, I've never felt this way before. I've never missed someone this much. And so that's when you're like, oh, I guess this
is the real deal.
How do you think our friendship has grown over the last 3 years? Because we've always been chummy buddies. You know, but and it's cool. We've talked about this recently, but it's cool how you've become not just like my buddy's wife that I like a lot, but you've just become a best friend, kind of independent of that. And it's just so rare. I wish it was more common, but it's just so rare. And I think a lot of times men and women just have a hard time being friends because, for a million reasons, but we're so different. And if romance is off the table, you're like, well, what's the point? What's the point? And that's kind of a shallow definition of things, but it's just kind of the reality.
Yeah, it is.
So yeah, tell me about our friendship.
I love our friendship. Sure. I cherish our friendship so much. I really do. And especially more lately.
Yeah.
Like when we did this podcast, was it 3 years ago?
Yeah.
Like you were my friend, but and you meant a lot to me, but exactly what you're saying. You were more of Connor's best friend.
Yeah.
And now
we hadn't gone through the trenches together.
Yeah. We didn't know each other that way. And now you're one of my best friends, and we cry in front of each other, and we hang out with each other until the late hours of the night, and we appreciate like what each other is going through. But I think one of the specific ways that our friendship has like grown and changed is just that we are not afraid to be emotional in front of each other. And I think that's a good indicator of how like real and deep our relationship is. Because if I can break down when you ask me like how I'm doing, and I can just like start crying and not have to say any words, like that's special, and that is that's a deep feeling to have in a friendship. Whereas maybe before I felt like I had to not put on a face in front of you, but just like, like I'm good or whatever. Like some things have been tough. I just haven't, been fully myself. And I think that's really grown for us. Don't you think?
Yeah. And it's cool because our whole like, me, you, Connor, and Spencer, our little special quad, we'll say,
our team,
we're all very emotional.
Yeah.
And so there's almost like another level. There's a level of like when you feel safe around someone, but then there's a whole next echelon for me where you not only feel safe, but you're like, I want to cry in front of this person because they make me feel even more loved.
Yeah.
Right. I don't feel just validated or just safe, but I feel loved on top of that.
That's it.
Yeah.
Does it take you a long time to like kind of break down that barrier and cry in front of someone?
I think it depends. Like I'll get choked up pretty easily around anyone, I think, but I think certain things I just won't want to talk about around other people because I'm like, I might, I might break down and I don't want to do that, But it's, I don't know, people always talk about safety, feeling safe around someone. I don't feel like there's many people I feel unsafe around,
Mm.
but it's like, but yeah, it's just that lack of okay, say I'm like, okay, we, in In-N-Out a couple months ago,
Yeah.
me, you, and your husband, we're just chatting, and I'm just crying in In-N-Out,
Yeah. At midnight
at midnight, yeah,
over some burgers.
yeah. The burger was so good, I just lost it, but yeah, that was like, not only did I feel safe, but I like really enjoyed the moment
Mm-hmm.
and
Me
really,
too.
really felt loved in that moment, and it's almost a relief because it's like, I like to have somebody I can cry to rather than just crying by myself. It feels more lonely,
Mm-hmm.
With some people, you're like, I'm just not there yet, right? But yeah, some people get there quicker than others. I don't know what it is that, I think there's all these little micro paraverbals that people have that make you feel safe and make you feel loved. And sometimes it's hard to pinpoint what they are even.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I definitely am an emotional person. Like
Yeah.
I feel things so deeply. But yeah, I will say when I'm first meeting someone or getting to know someone, I want to kind of put on this face of just like everything's perfect and everything's fine and dandy, even if it's maybe not.
Yeah.
And so maybe I was that way with you a little bit in the beginning, but I don't think it took me long to feel like you were a safe space.
Yeah.
And to then be able to just, be emotional.
Well, and I think it's so symbiotic. It's like you see me cry and you're like, well, he obviously can't be bugged if I cry. We're just two humans crying.
We're two humans who are not afraid to tear up.
Yeah.
And I love that.
Yeah.
I love that about you. I love that about our team. Because those are some of my favorite moments. Like that In-N-Out night. It's one of my favorite memories now that I have with you because we're chatting and speaking of the things of our hearts and
you know what I love that our friend group does too. We'll have these super intense nights and then on the way home we'll debrief.
Whether it's a phone call or a voice memo. We
it's
will.
It's like, okay, we just talked for 3 hours.
And we still have more to say. We do like to debrief.
Yeah.
I think when we leave, like me and Con, we're like, oh, like we wish that could just keep going on for hours.
Yeah.
And so how nice that we can just call each other up and we can still chat on the drive home.
Yeah. And sometimes it's fun because it's like, there's a few things that you're like, oh, I wish I would have added this or whatever. You have a little extra time to think and articulate your thoughts. Yeah. I love debriefing.
I do too.
It's
good for us.
This is for me, another sign that like things are going really well with a girl is if we debrief after a good date.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's special.
Yeah. I mean, you never really do that like on a first or second date.
Yeah.
But when you're starting to like each other and you have like a fun night and you do all sorts of things, and then you get home and you're just texting about it.
It's the best.
I know. And then they tell you they've met someone else or something.
Something stupid.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Rach, what do you love most about yourself? This is a hard question.
Dun dun dun. Oh man, why is it so hard? Why is it so hard, church, to like answer a question like this?
It's weird because you don't want to feel like, oh, I love my body. Like that sounds gross and weird, right? You don't want to say like, I love how intelligent I am. Like it all kind of sounds bad. You almost have to dig really deep and be like, what's like this super generous, altruistic, humble thing I could share about myself?
I was trying to think very deeply.
But yeah, maybe a better question is, what do you do that makes you really proud of yourself?
Aw, yeah. Okay, I love that. Because I feel like I could like talk to you about your strengths forever.
Yeah, that's easier.
Yeah, it
right?
is.
Yeah.
And then talking about yourself. And even though like this whole conversation is basically I'm talking about myself, like you're asking me questions and I'm answering, but this one specifically is just kind of hard, I think, for most humans.
Yeah.
But something that I love about myself, or something that I'm proud of. I love that I'm thoughtful.
Mm-hmm.
I am a thoughtful human being, I think. I think that I always have been. Like I said, I just am a deep feeler.
Yeah.
And with that comes lots of thoughts.
Yeah.
And whether it's...
And wanting to make people happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, just caring so deeply. And sometimes that doesn't work in my favor because with being thoughtful obviously comes many thoughts,
mm-hmm.
which is overthinking.
Uh-huh.
But
which is anxiety.
Yeah. Yes. But I do love that part of myself that I am thoughtful and I care really deeply. I think it's because I'm cut from good cloth. Like it's just in my nature, but I think it's also a spiritual gift that God has given me that I've learned to embrace. Because I've always been very tenderhearted. Like when I was little, I would cry like in a movie if a dog was dying or
too much.
Just too much for my little heart to handle. I've always been tenderhearted. That's kind of how my parents would say it. Like, are you feeling tender? Like it's just your tender heart.
Yeah.
And as I've gotten older, I think for a little while, I just went down the rabbit hole of like, oh, I'm just so sensitive. Mm-hmm. And that's not a good thing. Yeah. So I need to like steer away from that. But just the past couple of years, I've learned that it really is it's just deep feeling and it's just being extra thoughtful.
And it's your gift.
And
like
it's
you
my
said.
gift.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's something to embrace.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I guess. Sheepish.
We'll have Tommy add a little sheep go across this screen.
Yes, please do that because that's what I'm feeling.
You know what? It's funny. I felt like when I was a kid, I was crying way too often.
Really?
Yeah.
Too much.
Way too much, especially as a boy.
Normal kid. Yeah.
You know,
interesting.
Because I always felt like, and it wasn't always being moved, like tender moments, but I was just like, I was scared of things. Mm-hmm. I was like, it's funny. It makes it sound like I was a really anxious kid, and I really have like no anxiety as an adult.
Yeah.
But like, I was petrified of like thunderstorms. Like I would go sleep in my parents' room.
Oh, that's so sweet.
You know, like way too late into my childhood, like embarrassingly late. But my parents were so like, they never made me feel weird or bad about
like
it.
Ashamed.
Yeah, like I would come to their door like during a bad storm, and I'd just be like, you know, kind of sheepish. Yeah. And they'd just be like, hey, you can sleep on the floor if you want or whatever, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, like I remember a couple times, I remember my first girlfriend in like 4th grade or something.
Wow.
Like I was getting after it. Yeah. Deborah, shout out to Deborah. But
Cute
Deborah, we had a wonderful summer romance, right? We'd talk on the phone, hung out 0 times.
4th grade, how old is that?
What is that?
9?
9 or 10, right? Mm. But I was crazy about Deborah. I went through the yearbook and just like found every page that she had like any presence in, and I would circle it. And it's funny because I remember looking back, like I didn't even think about like, oh, maybe I'll try to kiss her someday. Never crossed my mind. I was just like, yeah, this girl's great. I don't know. It's crazy,
so
right?
Cute.
And so we had our summer romance, and then we get back, and we're, as far as I knew, we were still together for a couple of weeks or something. And then I'm at recess, and this girl comes up to me while I'm playing basketball, and she says, Deborah doesn't want to go out anymore.
Oh.
And I'm just hooping with the boys. And
but you're wrecked instantly.
I'm like, okay, like as long as I'm still like running and staying active, I can maybe hold the tears at bay.
Oh.
But I'm in 5th grade now. I'm a big boy.
Yeah.
You know? So I go back to class after recess and I just break down. Break down in
like head on the table.
Like there's a little cubby in my desk, you know? I just kind of put my head in there. And, you know, my teacher's like, Taylor, what are you doing? You know, and I'm just like, nothing. Can't find my pencils, you know? But yeah, Deborah was the beginning of the end for me.
Man.
Yeah.
It's been brutal.
It's been brutal out there ever since Deborah.
But you're a lover. Like, you're a lover boy.
Yeah.
And that's a gift, I would say, but a curse as well.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I wish, this is a complicated subject, but I wish when I was younger, and not 4th grade, I can't really know any better in 4th grade.
Yeah.
But I wish when I was younger, I wasn't such a simp, because I just kind of was, you know? Because, I would kind of fall hard, like, not delusionally, but I would just, like, really like a girl fast, and I'd want to, like, prove it to her and want to, like, do something romantic and sweet and, like, win her over, but I just didn't think about, like, the timing of, like, is she ready? Is she emotionally available? Like, I would just make her, I'd burn her a CD with all the songs she needed to hear, you know?
Sure.
But, like on a 3rd date, like, just way too soon.
Yeah. Okay.
Know?
That's fair.
Yeah. And so I love simp energy once you've got the girl.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
But before that, you just have to, your timing has to be a little bit better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I respect that. So do you think that because you were simpy, if you will, early on, did you kind of try to change that about yourself as you got older?
Like go the opposite direction?
Yeah.
Not really. I think I just became more like, I don't know, just a little jaded. Like I would have an amazing date and I'd be like, well, that probably means nothing. You know, I'm still like that.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's a hard balance of trying to be optimistic and feed the romantic in me, but also be like rational and a realist and not be destroyed if she doesn't love me immediately.
Yeah.
You know,
that's fair. You have to guard your heart in a way.
Yeah.
But a word to all the simps, a word to all the lovers out there.
Yeah.
We need you.
Yeah.
We need you. You're an important part of our society.
Yeah.
And I wish that Con had simped a little harder for me, to be honest. Like, I knew that he liked me, but I also got vibes just that he was maybe playing it cool. Yeah, not even hard to get, but just playing it cool. And I wanted him to be more simpy.
Yeah.
So if you're a lover, if you're a simp, I don't think that's bad to embrace that a little bit, but I do agree that timing is important. But I do think that we are just, like, I'm definitely a lover and we're born like that. Like we just have felt that from a young age, and that's, as we get older, I think that's something that people will naturally kind of try to hide or push under the rug. Yeah. And I want everyone to just embrace that side of them.
I like that.
Because it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, I think to me, the greatest like rush in life, the greatest addiction for me is connection. You know, when you have real deep connection with somebody, I don't know, it's just not like anything else. Yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Yeah.
Connection is everything.
Yeah.
And that's actually interesting that you say addiction is connection. Because the opposite of addiction, which is, I mean, I think people would say it's sobriety, but the opposite of addiction is connection.
Yeah.
Because, to reach that sobriety, that connection is what is going to pull you back into like your roots and help you overcome an addiction.
Because you tend to like seek your addictions and your vices when there's disconnection.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to segue this way, but I know you had an interesting life with an interesting childhood with two brothers that really struggled with addiction.
Mm-hmm.
One that's still kind of in the throes of it.
Mm-hmm.
What was that like growing up? You were probably really young when it started.
Yeah.
Was that confusing? Did your parents do a good job of kind of explaining, hey, your brothers are struggling with this? How did that fracture or help your relationship with your brothers? Kind of walk me through that a little bit.
Yeah, interesting. That was a good segue.
Yeah.
An unintentional one.
That's right.
Yeah, I've been around addiction the majority of my life. I think my brothers were getting into drugs when I was 9 or 10.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been a big part of my life.
Yeah.
Like as long as I can remember, really.
Right, yeah.
Because my oldest brother is 8 years older than me, and I guess the middle brother is 6 years. So when they were in high school and starting to experiment, I was, 9 or 10. And at first, really, I just noticed like extra fighting in the house. Like I didn't know what was going on, but I just knew that like tension was high.
Yeah.
And there was like more fighting than usual. And I didn't know why. Like I remember, I did not have a bad childhood, by the way. Yeah. Like I had the best childhood.
And your parents are awesome. I know your parents.
They're so freaking amazing. Yeah. And so these are just like little moments that kind of help.
Yeah.
Help kind of sum up what growing up around addiction is like. But I remember it being like in the middle of the night and me in my little bed and just like hearing my parents like fighting with my brothers and not knowing why, and coming out and like asking what's going on, and them telling me not everything's fine, but just go back to bed, and just being in my little covers and not being able to go back to bed because I'm worried about what's happening. So in the early years, I really had no idea.
Yeah.
I just knew that, like I said, tensions were high, but I didn't know that it was because of drugs or anything like that.
Yeah.
I think I just kind of caught on as time went on because I could see the change in my brothers.
Yeah.
Like I could see that they were different and that they were acting different.
Yeah.
And so I kind of caught on that maybe something else was happening. And then, my parents, I think, became open with it once my brothers started going to like rehab.
Yeah, yeah.
And so once they were getting sent off to rehab, or they were in jail, or they weren't coming home at night, then you have to kind of tell.
Have some explanation.
Yeah. Like what's going on.
Yeah.
But it was never very specific. And I think I'm grateful that it wasn't, because I kept a really amazing relationship with my brothers throughout all of their challenges.
Yeah.
And I think that's because the focus wasn't on their addiction.
Yeah.
It was just about, like, he's my big brother. Like, I love him so much. And they would still make a really solid effort to spend time with me and make sure that I was having a good and innocent childhood. Yeah. Not exposing me to kind of the dark truths that come behind substance abuse. But it was kind of crazy having, my only siblings kind of on and off living off the streets. Like I remember my parents telling me that they didn't know where my oldest brother was. And like all of us hopping in the car and like looking for him.
Yeah.
Like in random places around town.
And your little heart couldn't handle that.
My little heart couldn't handle it.
Yeah.
And so those were tough moments.
Yeah.
But overall, and truly I feel this way, I am really grateful for the challenges that they went through and are going through, because it's made me who I am today for sure. Being exposed to addiction early on, being around it, has made me empathetic and has made me kinder. I think in our culture, especially with like drugs, it's looked at as like, it's a sin. Like they're doing something wrong.
Right.
And so it's easy to judge someone who is a drug addict. And I like hate to say this, but I could have maybe been that way if I wasn't around it so much, just because of kind of the culture that we're in. I could have been more judgmental about that. And I'm so the opposite. Because I know really what it is. And I know that it's a disease, and I know how amazing these people are that struggle with it. And so my heart just feels nothing but love and compassion for anyone who struggles with addictions. So I really believe that it was part of God's plan for me specifically. I could talk a lot about my brother's stories, but I feel like they have, those are their stories to share. But mine specifically, I think it was a part of God's plan for me because it has made me who I am today. And I can have such an open heart and mind to anyone who struggles with anything.
Yeah. Because you've you've kind of seen the darkness up close, and you realize when it's somebody close to you, it doesn't really affect your love at all. Right. But when you see a stranger out on the street, it's so easy to judge because you're like, oh, he's a lowlife, he's a degenerate, he's a junkie, whatever. So that's really cool. When did your older brother get sober?
He's been sober 9 years.
Wow.
So he has a really awesome story. Obviously was like in and out of jail, lived on the streets for a bit, was in and out of rehabs. He met an amazing girl, and she kind of turned his life around.
Wow.
And she would actually visit him in jail. Wow. And basically was just like I love you, but it's the lifestyle that you're choosing, or it's me. And he chose her, and he chose God, and he now works at a rehab facility that he went to back in the day.
I didn't know that.
And he's helping, these kids that are in the same boat that he was. And has like 9 years of sobriety, has 2 little boys. His story's so amazing. And I am just grateful for anyone who can make it on the other side of their addiction and can use their story to help others. And that's exactly what he's doing. Because addiction, gosh, it's a freaking beast. Like I know you had Dustin Griggs on here a couple episodes back. That was really amazing episode to listen to. But yeah, he like talks about it fully, like how beast of an addiction is. And it's interesting that it literally, like if you have an addiction, nothing's wrong with you. And I want people to know that, and I will scream that off of the rooftops. I don't want like my brother or anyone who struggles with addiction to feel like something's wrong with them. Because that's just not the case. Like you are perfect in your own way, and God loves you just as much as he loves me or anyone. But it really is a disease, and it needs to be treated that way. It alters your brain.
Right.
Like it literally changes the functions and the structure of your brain. It's not a choice at that point. And it needs to be treated that way. Whereas I hate kind of the stigma of like, if someone is struggling with an addiction, there's something like morally wrong with you or I just think that stigma needs to change. And there's nothing wrong with you. Like God loves you so much, and for one reason or another, this is the trial that you were meant to have in this life. But you're beautiful and you're strong, and like just hang in there.
Yeah. I love, it's funny, like we were talking about earlier about how it's so easy to like compliment other people, but it's hard to say it about yourself, right? In the same way, like it's so hard, it's so easy for someone you love to give them grace, right? And to give them forgiveness 1,000 times over. But sometimes it's so hard to do for yourself, you know, when you're the addict, when you're the one struggling, you're just like, yeah, I know everyone loves me, blah, blah, blah. God loves me, but I'm an idiot and I can't get out of this pit. What do you say to somebody like that? What do you say to somebody who's struggling and can't give themselves that grace?
Yeah. Just that you're like, nothing is wrong with you. You're not, you're not worth any less because of your trials, because that's what it is. Just because yours looks different than mine doesn't mean that you're worth any less. And just that even that you're here, like that's a miracle.
Yeah.
And like for my brother who, you know, is still kind of in it, like that he's here and that he's fought through it for so long, or as long as he has, like freaking that's amazing. Like you're a miracle. And
he's been in hell for years. Like,
and you're still fighting, and you're still the sweetest person I know. Like that.
He's the sweetest guy.
The best. And like that's something to be proud of. Your addiction is not you.
Yeah. That's beautiful. It's I feel silly even talking about this, but I often think like to me my biggest struggle in life I feel like has been just being perpetually single, right? And it's funny, some friends were talking about this the other day, and this girl said, she's like, I don't think being single is a trial. I think like you make it your trial or whatever.
Okay.
And I just kind of was like,
okay, Kelly.
Okay, Kelly. But I was just kind of like, yeah, I just fully disagree. I feel like this has been like, and it sounds silly when other people are going through so much more, but it's been like the biggest trial in my life, because all I've wanted is to like love somebody and have them love me back and like get married and start a family and all these things I want more than anything. And I just feel like I can't quite get there, you know? And I feel like I've given my all, and I've like fought and fought and fought, and feels like I'm not any closer than I ever was. But it's the same. Like, I have to remember what you said. Like, I'm not loved any less by God, right? I'm not any less of a person just because of a trial, you know? And that's all it is, and that's, for whatever reason, that's the cards I've been dealt. That's my purpose, you know? And I'll probably complain about it until it happens, but I think I'll be so grateful when it does happen for the timing.
Yes.
And I won't bemoan the past. I won't be like, oh, I can't believe all those years I was single. Like, I'll just be like, it's crazy how everything in your life just takes you to right where you're supposed to be, you know? And one of my favorite lines by John Bellion is when he says, what if who I hope to be was always me? You know, it's like such a cool thought. Like, sometimes we're obsessed with the next stage of life or the next step in your own process of growing. But like, what if your whole destiny is just exactly right now, what you're doing? Yeah.
I love that song so much.
It's so good.
And what's the part about like the woman that I prayed for becomes my wife. Doesn't he say that?
It's a different song.
Oh.
Yeah, but
dang
it's still our guy.
Still our guy, and we love him for those touching lyrics.
Yeah.
But same sentiment, like, yeah, we're exactly where we're supposed to be. The woman that you're praying for, she's going to become your wife. I think that when we get on the other side, I think we can do a little chatting with God and be like, whoa, dude, like that was freaking tough down there.
That was a wild roller coaster you put me on.
Yeah, what the hell was that?
Could we not have done this a little easier?
Totally. Yeah, my
what
dad.
about Billy over here that had it pretty easy, it seems like?
Yeah, got married right off the mission. What about him? Or, yeah, this kid who never dealt with.
But you know what I love? I know you have a thought, so hold on to it. I love, though, when you find out, like, I feel like when you get to know people really well, you find out, like, wow, dude, people are really going through stuff.
1,000%.
Because sometimes you look at people and you're like, why does nothing bad happen to them? Everything they touch turns to gold, and I'm just over here in the sewer.
Yeah.
Just
they have $1 million. I'm
just begging for scraps.
Got
over
a
here.
hot wife.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why did that guy get so lucky?
Yeah, but yeah, when you get to know people, like most people, they have someone in their family that is going through something horrible. You know, a sickness, an addiction. You know, like everyone is just going through it, and it's almost a relief, I think, sometimes when you realize that I don't know, sometimes your pain, for whatever reason, you feel like you're the only person that experiences it that way. But I think when it comes down to it, we wouldn't want to trade places with anyone else. I think in the moment, a lot of times it seems attractive to us, but yeah.
That's a really interesting point, and that's important to remember. Yeah, and on that note, I think once we do get to the other side, and we're like, gosh, it was freaking hard down there, God. Like, why'd you do that to me? He'll just embrace us and be like, I know that it was so hard, but thank you for going through that, and it was part of my plan.
Yeah.
So thank you. Yeah, and also just I want to touch on the single trial.
Let's hear it.
The trial of being single. I didn't really experience that. And so I don't know firsthand what it's like, but my husband sure did. And the thing that makes me literally the most sad in the whole world is thinking about him back in the day when he wasn't getting married, and thinking about him wondering, like, what's the matter? Like, is it me? Like, what's the matter that I can't get married, or I can't find the relationship that I'm supposed to be in? Like that, it makes me so sad to think about the thoughts that he had, because he shared those dark moments with me, and I hate that he had to go through that, but I'm so grateful that he did.
Yeah.
Or else I wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be with him. Like, he had to wait for me.
Yeah.
And imagine if he didn't. Imagine if he had just, like, gotten married to just kind of a random, girl who, like, things were going good and they liked each other enough. And she seemed like a good enough girl or whatever. Like, what if he just had gotten married?
Yeah.
And that's a really dark thought for me, because he had to go through that struggle for so long. Not just because I was a baby and I had to grow up
Sure.
before we could meet, but he had to wait for me, and I'm so grateful that he did. And I think we can literally testify of that it's gonna happen, but when it's meant to.
Yeah.
And I tell my girlfriends that who, are single and who are getting frustrated with dating.
They're 23.
Yeah. Yes. But I tell them, like, you want to wait for the love that you're meant to have.
Yeah.
Because, and this is, I don't want to offend anyone, but like, you'll be in Provo at a little cafe and there are 10 couples in there. And how many of them just kind of got married just to get married? Like, I don't want to offend. And, everyone loves each other.
I don't know about that.
Everything's fine. Everyone loves each other. But you want to wait for your love. Like, you want to wait for what God has truly in store for you.
Yeah.
And you could just kind of marry someone and have a good life, but it's so worth the wait. And I think Connor can attest to that. So, like I said, I haven't been through it personally, but I'm really grateful that my husband went through it. I'm really grateful that my brothers went through the trial of drug addiction, so that I could learn from them.
Yeah.
And have more empathy because of it. I'm grateful for my own trials. Usually that comes in hindsight. I'm grateful for other people's also, because I have learned so much from them as well, and I've been deeply blessed because of them as well.
Yeah, well, you can't put a price on empathy. It makes it so you can relate to almost anyone, and whether it's something completely different, you're familiar with pain and you're familiar with heartache, and it almost doesn't matter the shape it comes in, but you can just relate. And I think it's beautiful because not only can you relate, but you can help more people, and it's like, what else are we here for?
Oh.
Yeah.
Like,
we get so caught up in our own lives and the things we want to accomplish and the people we want to become, but like, all it's really about is helping other people, and being someone that's down in a ditch can reach up and grab,
Yeah, that's my greatest desire in this life, is to be someone who can be there pulling someone up.
Yeah. And I mean, you totally are. Like, anytime I'll hit you and Connor up just because I'm having bad thoughts and I need my team to tell me, like, it's going to be okay and that I'm a good guy, and my bad thoughts are just that. They're bad thoughts.
Yeah.
And I loved, your husband said something the other day to me that just filled my heart.
Of course.
He's a heart filler.
You did.
You were there. It was at In and Out, and I was saying, like, I feel sometimes foolish and almost embarrassed that, like, my heart hasn't healed over certain things yet. Because it was long enough ago, and it was something that didn't last that long to begin with. And Con was like, there's no amount of time that is too long, like, you'll feel better when you're ready. And it was just so great to hear, something I needed to hear, because when you're left to your own devices, like, you just think a lot of negative things that are just wrong.
Yeah.
And when you can tell people, they can tell you, hey, you're wrong.
Yeah, those thoughts totally can fill our brain.
Yeah.
Make it turn into bad brain.
Yeah, I hate bad brain.
Not to be confused with bad bread.
Right. Both can be very bad.
But yeah, it really is only God who can tell us who we are. And because even we aren't capable.
Yeah.
of telling ourselves who we really are. So we've got to just latch onto him and just try to listen to how he feels about us.
Yeah.
But it's freaking hard.
Yeah. But I love when you are that friend that reaches down into the ditch and pulls your friend out. For a moment, you are this little God on earth.
Mm-hmm.
You become kind of God's proxy.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's when I feel closest to God.
Yeah. Yeah, it feels good to be God's hands for a moment.
Yeah. Have you always been easily full of faith?
Good question. I have.
Yeah.
Yeah, honestly. Um yeah, I've always felt closeness to God since I was really young. And I think I owe some of that to learning to rely on him. When things were kind of tough with my brothers, like learning that I could pray and learning that he gets it. That helped like from a young age, but yeah. I always have had a deep faith in God and in Jesus. And I'm really grateful for that, and I love his gospel just because I feel like it brings me closer to him.
Yeah.
And so why, I know it's not that easy, but why wouldn't I want to live his gospel? Because I want to just be, latched with him as much as possible.
Yeah.
So I've been blessed, I think, with, again, a spiritual gift of faith, because I know it doesn't come that easy for a lot of people, and that's so valid.
Yeah.
And that's a journey of its own. But what about you? Have you always had faith?
kind of similarly. I do feel like that's just been one of my gifts. I feel like there's other spiritual gifts that I just don't have very well.
Sure.
But yeah, just believing came naturally. I don't know. I don't remember like learning to believe. I remember just believing. And I don't remember ever I've had a million doubts and questions like anyone.
Yeah.
But
totally.
they never turned into disbelief. And I don't know, I was never given a reason to disbelieve. Yeah. Like the world has tried to show me plenty of reasons, I guess, but I didn't buy any of them. I'm not impressed. Yeah. But yeah, I'm really grateful because it's funny. I've had, being in the culture we're in, like being my age and being unmarried is just a statistic anomaly.
Yeah.
Right? Like there's just not many of me wandering around out there. Right?
That's true.
And so a question I'll get more often than you would think is I'll get someone asking, "Hey, are you still like a member of the church? Are you still like doing that?" And sometimes I'll be like, "I'm a lifer." Like you can keep checking in if you want, but like I'm here to stay.
You don't have to worry about me. You do not have to worry about me.
Yeah, like I might, I don't know. I'm just not going anywhere.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I don't think I ever consciously made that decision. I've just never had a desire to leave. This is where I feel joy. This is where I feel fulfillment, And so it's like, I can try to go find it elsewhere, but I'm gonna.
Good luck.
Yeah, good luck. And it's nothing but love and respect for people that seek it elsewhere. I'm not trying to denigrate anyone's journey. I'm just talking about for me.
Yeah, totally. Because a lot of other people have their own journey, and this doesn't make them happy.
Yeah.
So why would you try to force something that's just not
Yeah.
working.
And I view it as people get so squeamish about religion and God and stuff. But to me, it's like, I view it like I'm going to proselytize anything I love.
Yeah.
Right? Like if you don't like The Office, I'm going to tell you about it, and I'm going to maybe think your taste is bad if you don't like it, and I'm going to maybe bring it up again later. But it's like if it's religious stuff, that's like taboo.
Yeah.
Right? But like if I have a favorite restaurant, I'm going to keep suggesting it.
Totally.
You know? But if it's not like,
why is it so different?
If you don't like Cafe Rio and I do, even if I keep bringing it up, like I don't see what the big deal is.
Yeah, I'm not judging you for it.
Yeah, but yeah, I understand people get kind of weird about it, but I do think it is because there is a lot of judgment attached with religion and morality and all those sorts of things. So I get it. But Rach, while we're on this topic, you are an artist of sorts.
Yes.
You are. It's cool as I've gotten to know you. I've realized that you, like, I keep learning about new ways that you're artistic. It's really cool. Like you've made jewelry in the past. You are always just kind of drawing and sketching and painting, and then you do theater as well. What's your favorite way of expressing yourself creatively?
I think painting for others.
Yeah.
Or like making cards for others.
So you don't necessarily care about having a finished product, but you like the gift element of it. Yeah.
Yeah, I do. But it is a way of like expressing love. And that's, I think, why I love it so much. Theater, it's more me expressing, like a gift, I think, and a talent, which I love to do. But yeah, when I'm like sitting down and like doing art, is when I feel like I'm really able to express like the deepest love that I have.
Cool. Well, on that note, I asked you to bring in a piece of artwork you're really proud of. So let's see it.
Okay.
Yeah. And I just want you to just tell me like what this piece means to you.
Okay. Should I just set it here? Oh. Okay, here she blows.
Wow.
This is actually my first piece of artwork.
Oh, really?
When you asked me to find something and bring it, I literally was going through my house. Sorry, the mic is moving so much. I was going through my house trying to find something, and I realized I don't have anything because I gift it. Yeah. I make something and then I will gift it. So this I gifted to my husband, and obviously it lives at our house. But this is the first thing. This is like my first acrylic painting. So it's like not great, but it has a lot of love behind it. And this is what kind of got me into expressing myself like on paper. So it's just a little painting of Jesus. But on the back, I want to read, if that's okay.
Yeah, this is an inscription to your husband?
Yes.
Okay.
So this was our first Christmas that we spent together.
And were you engaged yet?
No.
Okay.
We were falling in love.
Okay.
And I made him this. Okay. And we were in the middle of watching The Chosen together, and we were really connecting spiritually and just falling in love over that. And so this is what I made him. I titled it, "You Are Chosen." And I said, "I am a firm believer that you, Connor Winters, have been chosen by Christ. You've been chosen to be an example of him. You've been chosen to uplift and inspire those around you. You've been chosen to be a friend to the friendless. You have been chosen to be his hands. You are chosen by Christ, and I love coming closer to him with you." So if he wasn't sold before this, he was sold out. I gave this to him. but yeah, that's just how I felt. Like I loved coming closer to Jesus with Con, and I tried to think of a way that I could express that, and it was this. And yeah, like I said, it was just my very first painting. Like I just was such a beginner, but I love this piece because yeah, it kind of just started everything, and there's a lot of love in it for Con and for Jesus.
Wow, that's so cool.
So thanks for asking me to bring it.
Yeah, yeah.
That was really cool of you
I
to
love
ask.
I love you telling Connor that he's a friend to the friendless, because that's like one of his greatest gifts.
Isn't that spot on?
Yeah.
Yeah, he has that gift greatly.
Yeah, and you like have kind of just taken it in too. You guys are so awesome. You're always spending time with people that don't really have anyone else, and it's such an admirable quality you have. I'm so almost jealous because I don't think it's my natural tendency, but I love the idea.
Aw. I think you're pretty good at it. You're better than you think.
I'm good at being friends with people that already have friends. Friends with the friendly.
That's so good. Yeah, it's been amazing to see Connor just in all of his relationships, and like we have each other. And so yeah, like if we're spending time together on a Friday night, like might as well invite someone else over who like just needs someone, and we'll hang out, and it's awesome.
And even if, listen, I'm sure there are times where you do something like that and it's a small burden on you, a small inconvenience, but it's a much bigger gift to them than it is an inconvenience to you. Yeah. And that's
a cool way to put it.
Yeah. Yeah. Because, all the time, I'm sure there's like, okay, let's go serve. That's sometimes the emotion that's connected with doing those things. Because, but once you're in it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it is a gift, and it becomes one to us.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks so much for asking me to bring that.
Yeah, that was really cool.
It was really cool for me.
What's something that in, I don't know, 5 or 10 years you hope to be better at? Like, what's something you really are thinking about self-improving and working on?
Yeah.
For the Woman of the Year award.
Oh man.
It's just, every year comes around and you got to do your best.
Yes, I'm waiting for my plaque.
Yeah.
I have a list, obviously, of things that I would love to improve on. But in 10 years from now, I want to look back and be able to see and say that I did stuff. Like I did the things that I dreamt about and that were on my mind. Like I want to become more of a doer. I have so many ideas.
Yeah.
And
so many drafts in your TikTok.
Too many drafts in my TikTok.
How many drafts do you have?
100. 100 drafts just waiting to be posted.
Yeah. Waiting for the right time.
Yeah. I don't know. See, like that's something I want to improve on. Yeah. Like I have a lot of ideas and ways I want to be creative and ways I want to touch people. But I don't do it for one reason or another, whether it's because I'm like scared or embarrassed or something stupid.
Yeah.
I don't do it. And
just a little self-doubt.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's
well, you were a little self-doubt about even coming on the podcast.
I was. No, I texted you. I had to double check with you that you wanted me to be here.
Was that a typo?
Oh, like, okay, wait. Let's just, before I come over, are you sure you, like, did you mean to text me? Are you sure you want me here? So yeah, it is a little self-doubt, and I know that down the road I'm going to regret that.
Yeah.
If I don't bring to light these ideas that I know God has given me. Like I know if I have an idea or a dream, it's because God has planted it there, because it's for good.
Yeah.
And if I don't do the dang thing, then yeah, I think I will regret it very much.
Yeah.
So I just want to start bringing my list to life, and I hope in 10 years I can say that I did.
Yeah. There's this quote that I want to look for on my phone, but it'll probably take like way too long.
I know that feeling so well.
But there's this quote I love. It's this writer, and he's talking about kind of this same feeling, having self-doubt about his work, right? And he says he's like, in talking about a specific project he finally started, he's like, I finally decided I didn't want my gravestone to read, artist too afraid to desperately share his message, or something like that. I'll show you the whole thing after. But I love that, because it's like, yeah, what are you holding it in for?
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I wanna be, when I die, like I want to be worn out. I want everything inside of me to be out. You know.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. That's my motivation. Yeah, send that to me, and I need to watch it daily.
Yeah.
Because I want to be that too. I have a couple questions for you. Are we getting to that point where I can kind of ask? So first, I guess they're kind of two, but they go hand in hand, and I just want to ask us an opportunity for me to get to know you even better than I already do, and for your viewers also. But what are things, they can be moments, whatever, on the day-to-day that make you sad?
Mm-hmm.
And what are things on the day-to-day that bring you joy?
Oh gosh. Have I told you about I kind of do my own specific, unique gratitude journal? Have I told you about that? Yeah.
Yeah, but share.
Yeah. So I might have talked about this a little bit before, but hopefully there's thousands of new listeners. I realized a while ago that I was being overly impacted by negative emotions, you know, and I think most of us struggle with that from time to time. But I realized that I was making a mountain out of a molehill. A lot of times, a small thing would happen during the day that would make me sad, and then I would classify my day as sad, right? Like, or I had a bad day because maybe I don't know, it could be something so small, like somebody bugged me again, like, hey, I've sent you this Venmo, could you please, like, and then I feel like, oh, I'm an idiot, like, why can't I just, like, makes me, I don't know, I just feel bad, right? But it's like, that's such a small thing to, like, make your day bad, right? And so this journal, I'm like, I'm going to write down all the good things that bring me joy today. And the thing is, there are some days that are horrible. You get your heart broken. You find out a friend has leukemia. You find out your sister's struggling with something heartbreaking. And so how do you find these nuggets of joy in those days? And so I don't try to delete those things that happen, but I try to say, like, okay, today was an utter mess. That's fine. But what did bring me joy? Was it just a sunset at the end of the day that was especially moving because everything else was trash? Was it my conversation with Rachel that was so meaningful? And some days it's like you're digging through the dregs looking for positive things. But because I started doing this, I'm always looking for them because I want to add them in at the end of the day. So I feel like my eyes are a little bit more opened, and I'm realizing more that I'm just inundated with wonderful things happening. You know? Yeah. And it doesn't stop the bad things. You know, the bad things just come. And I love Ricky Gervais. He's a comedian. He did the original Office. He said that, he goes, life is a mess, and you're just kind of going from one little beautiful surprise to the next. And a lot of times in between, it's horrible. But there's always going to be a beautiful little surprise, and that kind of makes life worth living, you know? And so I just try to focus on those, because to answer your original question, what makes me sad? It's like, I don't know, everything. Like anything that makes me feel a little bit lesser of a human. Anytime a girl reschedules a date, is it because she's busy or because she could never see herself marrying me? That's where my brain goes, right? I see two options. She has a legitimate excuse, or she could never be happy with me.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's one or the other.
Yeah. You know? Yeah, what makes me sad? I think the thing I struggle with the most, even though I've been blessed with amazing friends and family, is just feeling lonely, you know? Just feeling, and not feeling alone, not feeling like no one can relate to me or understand me, but just feeling like I'm sharing my life with nobody, you know?
Yeah.
And I know without my friends, I don't know where I'd be. I'd be down the river somewhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what I probably struggle with the most. Like, I have pretty good self-confidence, pretty good self-esteem, a lot of things I'm proud of. But yeah, I struggle with loneliness, struggle with feeling, I don't know, like my life matters, just because it feels so selfish. Like I'm just, it's just me, you know, just riding around, doing my own thing, you know? But yeah, is that a full answer?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. But now, what are like specific things that bring you joy in your day? Like, what are those things that you're writing in your gratitude journal? You mentioned sunsets.
Yeah.
That's something that brings you joy.
I love the beauty of the freaking earth.
She's a beaut.
She's a beaut, but I think sometimes the beauty that I see in the earth is a reminder. Like, I'll see it when I'm going through something, and I don't know, when I'm having a perfect day, like everything's clicking and I'm having fun and maybe I'm on vacation, like I don't sit and look at the clouds for 3 minutes, because I'm busy, I'm having fun, and I'm not contemplative. I'm just enjoying the moment. But sometimes when I'm a little down, I'm like, I don't know, I just get more pensive and more serene and reflective. And so I'm looking around, and like I've done this a few times where I'll be driving and I'll be in my feels, because where else is a better
It's
place?
Perfect place.
You know, you can ugly cry if you want. You can
turn on a tune.
You can blast
that
the music.
Brings those emotions out even more.
Yeah, you can put on a really specific Taylor Swift playlist. Yeah. But there's been a few times where I've been driving and I'll see, like, you know how sometimes when the sun sets against the mountains, there's like this pink color? The mountains are kind of pink and violet. I've like stopped my car and written that down, because I don't want to forget that moment. So yeah, I'm really moved often by the colors and vibrations of the earth.
That's so cool. And just a thought tagging along, isn't that so much how we are with our God? Like when we're having fun and we're happy, like we're not noticing the pinkness behind the cloud.
Yeah.
But it's when we're feeling sad that we do. That's just, that reminds me of how I am and how I think we all can be with our God. Like, we need to remember Him even on our best days. And that's something I appreciate about you is, even if maybe you are having a really good day, I appreciate how aware you are. Like, you will notice things and you'll notice beauty And that's an amazing quality that you have and a gift of yours.
Yeah. Thank you. One of my this is just a persistent, perpetual goal of mine. I want, and I often do horrible at it, but I want to just be as present and as awake and alive as I possibly can at all times. It's a big ask, but I don't want to miss little things because I'm thinking about something else, or I'm just not grateful enough to pay attention. And that's what I love about writing is I'm often in the moment thinking, I want to write about this later, so I'm going to soak this in. I want to
feel all of it.
I want to feel all of it. I want to see the tear welling up in your eye so I can feel what you're feeling. I want to see it makes me care about, I don't know, just everything because I want to remember everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that.
But what I've found in this little journal of mine is that a main theme, because I'll go back the next day and I'll highlight my 2 or 3 favorite things from each day, right? And I would say 90% of my favorite things each day are had an awesome conversation with Connor on the phone. Me and Spencer talked about this at lunch. Rachel and I went deep into this. Tommy told me about this he was going through. It's conversations with people. And, I'm an extrovert. I love people. That's for me. But it's been interesting when I look back. It's like I'm seeking so many ways to feel joy, and I want to feel it all the time, and I never want to feel alone, and I never want to feel bad, and I want entertainment all the time. I want stimulus all the time. I want novelty all the time.
Yeah.
But the things that apparently give me the most joy are just connecting with people. Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Aww.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing.
Yeah, of course.
That's really cool to hear.
Thanks. Any other cues?
Yes.
Okay.
I do have one more. And it comes from a scripture that I really like. It's in 2 Corinthians 3. I'm not sure the verse, but it talks about how the Spirit writes thoughts, not with ink on a stone tablet, but on the fleshy tablets of our heart. I think that's such a beautiful verse. And it resonates so much with me because when I receive a strong impression or have a strong spiritual experience, that's where it lives. It lives in the fleshy tablets of my heart. And so I would love to hear from you, what is a spiritual experience or an impression that you've had in your life that has impacted you so much and that has just kind of stuck with you, that's where it lives, in the fleshy tablet of your heart.
Okay, I might have told you this before, but maybe I didn't.
Let's hear.
This was maybe like a year ago. It's funny, I was going through one breakup, and it was a girl that I had dated kind of on and off for a couple of years, and it was time to call it, but it just broke me in half. And I still miss her and think about her a lot.
Yeah.
But it just wasn't right, and we weren't gonna make it. And I just remember almost being mad at how sad I was, because I was like I knew this was my decision. I knew this was gonna this is what I want essentially. But I just feel bad. I feel horrible, and I feel empty. And I was talking to we'll say a spiritual mentor of mine, and and I was like, I don't know, like, I'm not saying I'm going to give up or I'm on my last leg, but I'm just like, man, I just am sick of feeling so sad. And he's like, and he was just there with me, you know? He didn't give me any immediate advice. And he said, he was like, yeah, he's like, I don't know why you have to go through this. And he's like, if I could tell you one thing, he's like, I would just say to go towards Christ. And at the time I was like, yeah, I know. Okay. Um, I'm a good Christian boy. I know where to go. But as it kind of marinated in my mind, I was like, okay, let me try to go a little more aggressively, I guess. Let me sprint towards this feeling instead of kind of moseying on over. And that night, I was watching The Chosen, which we've watched The Chosen together. It just rips us apart.
It really does.
um,
Emotions are high.
Emotions are really high, and the popcorn is delicious. But I was watching it by myself on my laptop, and there's just this scene where little James, who's a little bit crippled, he goes to Christ and is just kind of pleading with him, like, hey, like, I get it, but I don't know why you haven't healed me yet, you know? And I just immediately burst into tears because I was like, that's me. It's just an emotional healing that I need. And not just from this current heartbreak, but from this ongoing heartbreak of being single. And I just felt so heard in that moment. It was weird because I'm watching this show and it felt like this character was saying a prayer that I was simultaneously saying. And it was such a unique moment. And I was like, it was one of the ugliest cries I've had in a really, really long time.
That means you needed it.
Because I think no one else was home. You know, and that's when you can really...
Yes, you can wail.
Really wail. And I wailed. Like, I think there was some... Like, if you were in my basement, you would have thought there's trouble. But, yeah, I just felt like, you know, and in that scene, Jesus says to him, basically, like, you're going through this because you're stronger than other people and you can handle it. And your time will shortly come. And I just felt like that was God talking to me. And the funny thing is, on the heels of that breakup, 2 weeks later, meet this girl, fall head over heels, and get absolutely demolished by her. And so the irony is, when I met her and things were going great, I was like, well, this is the beautiful, miraculous answer to my plea. And that went up in flames, and that was even more painful than the previous breakup. But there's been a peace about it because of that experience I had, and it was so real and so tangible for me that I can go through 100 heartbreaks and I'll be fine, you know. And I sure as hell don't want to.
I don't want you to.
And there are times when when you're going through it, you're like, can I handle one more heartbreak, or will that be the end of me? You know, and not in a really dark way, but I just mean, man, I don't know if I can handle it. I don't know if I can handle another heartbreak, but I actually know that I can, and I can handle another 100 if I need to, if that's what God wants me to go through. And if that's the path I need to go on to meet my person and to bring little me's into the world, you know, I think a lot of times your path to heaven is straight through hell, you know.
That's so cool to hear.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing.
Yeah. And this is not even close to as ugly as I was crying, just so you know.
Okay.
This is beautiful crying.
Thanks for saying that. This is beautiful crying.
This is elegant and graceful crying.
We look pretty.
Yeah. I mean, I don't have any makeup, so I'll let it fly. I don't care. Okay. One last thing I wanted to ask you. This is kind of a tricky question.
Okay.
But you're such a good friend. I know you can handle it. What is a parting piece of advice you would give me?
Give you?
Uh-huh.
To you,
To
not
me.
about myself.
No, to me specifically.
Can you give me one first?
I will.
Okay.
I will.
Just because I asked so nicely.
Yeah, you're actually really sweet about it. My advice to you would just be kind of on what you were talking about earlier. Is I think you're so gifted in so many ways that, like, and I'm not saying you hide your talent under a bushel, but you have so much to give. I would love to see it just 100-fold. I would love to just see it all day, every day, you know? And like you said, like so many of your art pieces end up as gifts, but it's like in all of your art and in all of, even like these silly, cute TikTok videos you'll make sometimes, to me, that's art.
Yeah.
You know? And it's the kind of thing that makes people feel good, makes people feel happy, makes people feel seen, and makes people feel that there's good in the world. And there's never a moment where we need less of that. So, yeah, my only advice to you is, man, I wish I had your talents and creative abilities when I was your age. I feel like it took me a long time to cultivate them and to be comfortable sharing them. And I think you're already ahead of the curve. So just keep going.
Thanks.
Yeah.
That means a lot to me.
Yeah.
I will.
Okay,
I
good.
will go and do.
Okay, good.
Thank you
Yeah.
for saying that. I really appreciate it. Okay. Piece of advice that I would give to you.
If this is financial, I'm going to be really bugged.
Okay, let me think of another.
You're like, this is what I do with my portfolio.
Can you imagine? Absolutely not. I would not be the girl for that. No, even if this lasts the rest of the night, like it's 8:18, even if this lasts until you go to bed at 2:30.
Yeah.
Like we both do.
Yeah.
Because tomorrow's a different day, but like I just want you to leave here feeling worthy and feeling like the wait will be worth it. Like that is my advice to you, not because I've been there, but because I know through mine and Connor's experience that it is, just that the wait will be worth it. And so if you can just hold on to that, just even for the rest of the night, like that's amazing. And I know you hold on to that advice, you know, you're living it every day. But yeah, just I want you to feel how amazing you are and how worthy you are of love and how special of a human you are. So is that even advice? I don't know.
It's a beautiful compliment.
But my advice is that like you just take that and you feel confident in that just for the rest of the night, because I want so badly for you to feel the way that we do about you. And that's all.
No. Thank you. I love the way you phrase that, because I think sometimes Sometimes all you need is just like a grasp, just an ounce of hope. And like you said, like maybe just for the night, and that can propel you to the next day, So thank you. Well, Rach, I just love you, darn it.
I seriously feel so grateful to have been here with you. Thanks for asking me to join you again, because these moments are really special, and I so treasure our time connecting together, because we are both deep feelers, and so moments like this mean a lot to the both of us. And it's been really special. And thanks just for being such an amazing person and an amazing friend to me and Con.
Of course. Thanks, Rach.